Life of Love
Life of Love
with Julie Wilson.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Life of Love, where we gather and celebrate our divinity and the way we express our love, whether it's a messy kind of love day or a kind of love day that is just receptible and wonderful. We honor both situations and realize with grace that both are types of love, even when it's not exactly something you put on a poster when you love yourself and, can be messy. What I like to do is set our intention, and I ask each person listening to settle in and acknowledge that you took this time to connect with yourself, with your life of love, and honor the space you're creating. And Gloria and I are holding space for you with this too, because you might not be used to this. So I honor your time and thank you for sharing these episodes and connecting with us. It really makes a difference when one of us can shine everything in our environment. It's that ripple effect, and it's such a beautiful thing. So I'm grounding into my feet and I'm getting calm into my heart. I thank you, divinity, universe, dear God. Thank you for bringing us together. I ask you to work through us and for us so we can recognize you in us and recognize that God spark, that filling of the Holy Spirit that ignites our spirit, that feeds our soul and our missions. And I ask you to help us see what our missions are with clarity. I ask you to fill our hearts with love and calm our nervous systems, which can be so ignited in this time. Calm our nervous systems with a beautiful purple ray of Saint Germain. And guide us to be our best selves today. And Gloria and I are just so open to messages from our guides, from our higher self. And may our Akashic books be lifted up for the highest expression of this day, of this time, as we create this new earth together. And again, please work through us and for us. Take what serves you and leave what doesn't. And again, I am just so honored, and I'm honored for all the synchronicities that brought each soul together with this transmission. I thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is.
That was beautiful.
Well, Gloria.
Thank you.
Everyone, this is Gloria Battini, and she is coming from over the pond. She lives just outside London. Thanks for being here, Gloria.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Julie. Thank you so much. I'm super honored and super excited to be here.
Thank you. We're having a heat wave here in Atlanta. I live north of Atlanta, and it's just so wonderful to have the calming. It seems like you're having a cooler experience, so I think we're going to level each other out.
Yes, I definitely am. I definitely am having a cooler experience. It's in the very early 20 degrees Celsius over here, which is not very summery, but here we go. It's fine. It's fine. We appreciate the cool.
All the ebbs and flows, just take it as it comes.
Yes.
Gloria, you have gone through some ebbs and flows, and your low brought you to where you are right now. And I'm just so honored to pick your brain and talk about these things that we were discussing before the interview. Would you want to share what sparked you to go to the spiritual route, to become an intuitive? Because it's not like, everyone can be intuitive, but you said yes, and you're a medium, and you're helping people, you are a channeler and intuitive. And I think a lot of people are just wondering, like, what sparks it? When did you say, I could really do this? This is something in my field and I'm going to own it. I'd love for you to give insight onto that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you that it definitely took a while. I feel I was always very open as a child, always been a very sensitive child, always been attracted to the invisible world as a child as well. And then suddenly, I was closed to all of that. A little bit was, some bullying happening in school. I felt like I had a lot of things to deal with when I was younger, and I was constantly trying to fit in, trying to just, can it just be quiet and nice for a little while? Can it just be normal?
I remember feeling that way. I'm like, well, can I just be normal?
Yeah.
When am I going to grow up and be normal?
Yes.
When am I going to get my boobs? When am I going to grow up and be normal? I thought it was like these stages. I'd become a woman and I'd be normal, or all these things.
Yeah.
But normalcy is sometimes it's not for.
It's not, but I don't think anything is normal, to be honest. After you live through a few things, it's like, what is normal? Normal is a very subjective thing. I think,
Right. Who
it's very
defines
subjective.
normal? Yeah,
Exactly. Who
exactly.
says what it is? And so I had a lot of things to overcome. Then I was in a toxic relationship from the age of 18 until I was 32. So yeah, it was a lot to deal with. And then after that, I decided to leave, heal. I hit a very low point around my 29, 30 years old. Was riddled with anxiety, OCD. I was just literally, I felt like, since I was a teenager, it just kept went down, 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 down. I kept going down, down, down. And until I got, I think, to the age of 30, I think it was. Yeah. And I thought it can't carry on like this. I can't do this
It
anymore.
hurts too
Something
much.
needs to change. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Something needs to
yeah.
change. And I thought either I do something or I actually do not know what's going to happen, what's going to be the repercussion of this. And so I decided to go see a coach when I was 30, and I worked with her for about 18 months. Yeah, 31 I was. I worked with her for about 18 months, and specifically on anxiety and OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And, a year and a half later, I had space. I had space in my head. For the first time in a very long time, I had space in my head. And with that, I could leave the relationship, went to live on my own, and started another type of healing, which was more on the self-discovery kind, more on the self-discovery side. And from there, I then started to have more and more space as I allowed myself to be. And then I decided and then I felt connected again with astrology, which was always something I really loved. But again, I was always told these things are, not real or whatever. Spirituality is not real, like this sort of stuff, by family or whatever. You can't trust astrology. It's not a real thing, like all this sort of stuff. But then I got reconnected with that, and it felt that it really, really resonated with my heart. Is a language that makes a lot of sense to me, astrology. And so I started looking into it, and a lot of the stuff that I always felt as a child but didn't have the words to express then was actually in my birth chart, because it was actually there. There's a lot of energy that points to me being a medium or a channel, this sort of stuff. And so I thought, oh, look at that, I knew it. I thought I knew it. I knew that there was something to do with this. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to open up to this, because every time I feel so curious about these things, and I never had the courage to properly explore them, or I always let other people's opinion stop what I did. And so I thought, I'm not going to let that happen this time. And I'm just going to see where it takes me. I'm just going to give it a go and see where it takes me. And I remember it was New Year's Eve. I can't remember the year, but it was New Year's Eve. And I thought, and I set my goals and wishes for the following year. And I said, I want to manifest my mentor. And then 3 months into the new year, I did. She came into my life, and I did one-to-one training with her. And then I started doing this. So,
Wow.
yeah. But it was a lot of coming home.
Yeah, there's so many pearls there. I mean, you can identify it so well with the space, that you had space and that gave you clarity. And, so many times we judge what we like, or, especially there's certain souls that just pick up on everyone else's energy and you want to please. And so if something's not resonating with someone around you that you love, you're like, well, that doesn't work. I'm going to do something else because I want people to be happy. I want to please. I want to, maybe it's a survival mechanism of child to, bond so much and want to please so much that you're taken care of, that you're loved. And that could be part of the scarcity mindset. And so it's something that we all deal with, is that wanting to please, self-judgment, owning other people's opinions of you, being sensitive, and maybe even internalizing someone's opinion more than they even meant you to. One little facial expression can be interpreted in many different ways. And if you're not in your authority and knowing what you are, and like you said, knowing yourself, then you can take it to the nth degree that it might not even been intended, but you interpreted it and you lived your life according to that interpretation, which might not have even been based in reality. It was a scared child or a child that wanted to please. And now you're this divine grown woman who can claim her divinity and authority. So kudos. I mean, and I can relate because in my 30s, I was like, what am I doing? All this hurts. All this feels wrong. I feel nauseous all the time. Like there are signs that the universe gives you that it's not depression or something that you need to medicate. It's something you need to see because it's something your soul is begging for. So it's that standing up for your health and that, people do need some medications. I'm not against all medications, but to jump to an anti-anxiety isn't going to cure or it's just going to mask something that needs to be seen. It's a lot.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. When I did the whole anxiety addressing situation, I never went to the GP or to the physician simply because I never drugs for that. I see anxiety as something that comes from deep within us, and it doesn't matter whether we create it or somebody else put it in there, maybe with our upbringing, with the conditioning, but it is 100% our responsibility to address. And so I never felt like I just wanted to be a surface level. I feel like the medicines are just the surface level, take it away so you don't really see. But then if you don't do the work, are you actually really healed? And so it never even occurred to me to go get a medicine for it. I was like, nope, this is going to be eradicated from within. Whatever it is that needs to come out, it's going to come out.
I love it. And then I do want to honor people if if someone's listening and they have taken some anti-anxiety, there's no judgment, it's just if you're hearing it, you might have clarity that, you might make a different choice. Like I used to drink wine a lot and now it brings down my spirit and makes me feel bad. So I don't do that anymore, but I'm okay with myself that did that. Like it's just part of my growth. So please, wherever you are, wherever this is hitting is beautiful and divine, and you're getting the message, and take what serves you and leave what doesn't. I don't want anyone to feel shame about
Not at all. No, please. No, absolutely not. And I actually worked with a lot of people because initially before I did my psychic training, I was a coach, and after my healing, I was also helping women heal from the aftermath of narcissistic abuse. And I had a lot of women that came to me who were on medication, of course, but they still came to do the work. And then somewhere along the line, they chose to drop the medications because they felt like a lot of the stuff had been addressed, and so it was easier. So absolutely, there's definitely no judgment and no shame in that. And please, I hope that what I said earlier did not come out that way.
No, not at all. But I was thinking we could feel like we're ganging up on somebody. I don't want anyone to feel like we're saying no,
exactly. No,
it just hit
not
me
at all,
that I was being judgy. I was like, I don't want to be judgy.
No.
I like judging the physicians that go to that first. That's what I was more judging.
No, not at all. I think that there's a place for anything. I think that the most important thing one can do is to be aligned with your heart. Like whatever decision you choose to make, if you decide that this for you is a time in your life where the medication is actually going to help you, and it's not necessarily just going to avoid the problem, but is actually going to help you as you work through the problem, I think that there's definitely a place for that, for sure. It's 100%. Like, align with your heart, see what your heart tells you. Your journey is unlike anybody else's, so you've got to follow what is your path, not what other people tell you, for sure. Yeah.
And so that segues into what I wanted to pick your brain about.
I
wondered if you could explain how you see our energy field, what an energy field is, because I think this is something that is very powerful if we can have a conscious awareness of our energy field. And then maybe we could go through some exercises about how to clear a negative experience, whether it be someone cutting you off in traffic, somebody, you give your opinion and then you're attacked. Um,
Yeah.
there's lots of situations where you're like, even if you're coming from your heart, you might feel negativity from someone or something, or even just watching the news. If you come across something that's like, oh my gosh, this just is really sad, but it's not part of my field, I don't need to deal with this. Yeah, I would love for you to go into your interpretation of the energy field and things that you do. And then maybe I'll share what I tried to do and we can have some fun with that.
Yeah, totally, totally. I think that our energy field is an extension of us. The way that I see us as souls is a core of energy, like a bundle of energy, right? That it's perpetual, it's eternal, is in constant movement, and it's ever changing, right? So I feel that once we strip ourselves of everything, I feel that that's what we are. Like literally like atoms and energy just like communicating together. We are this core. The soul is this core. I also feel that this core expresses our soul's energy in different ways, which come out as different lives. Because we have, the parallel lives, multiple lives, whatever it is. And in one of these lives, we happen to be who we are now, Gloria and Julie, right? And this is our human expression, right? But some of that thread from that core of energy is expressing through us, obviously. And it's coming out of our body as vibrations. So whatever comes out of our body, that's our field around us. This is how I see it. I see that our aura is just an extension of the energy that we have inside of us. So it's just like all around us, our energy field.
Can you see people's auras? I was just wondering if you tune in.
Not on a no, I wouldn't say that's my experience. No. I see their energy. If I close my eyes with clairvoyance, I see loads of stuff. But just with the naked eye, no, that's not part of my experience. Feel somebody's energy. I'm more clairsentient. So
feel it. I feel it as a color, but I don't see it as a color. I don't know if that explains
exactly.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I feel the same. Yeah. So this is what I think our energy field is. It's just an extension of our core energy that's within ourselves.
Gotcha. And then I'm curious, like, if somebody's upset with you and they send negativity your way, that they're displeased with something you did or said, or, maybe you just bug them. Like, can their energy field permeate your energy field? Does that happen?
So not to me specifically now, because I do a lot of work for that.
Clearing.
I do a lot of work for that not to happen. But yes, it can. Because you have to think of us as being energy, right? We do have a physical body, but first and foremost, we're energy. So even now that we are in two different continents, our energies are entangling right now, right? So even if we're not in the same physical space, our energies are reaching each other. If we were to be in the same physical space, of course, our energy fields are like bumping into each other all the time, right? And energy can reach anywhere, has no limits. And so even if you were to say something really mean to me now, it would definitely reach me, right? But
I've been on Zoom calls where I'm like, oh my God, I just got stabbed.
Exactly. Yeah, right. But I think that it's within our power, and if you want, responsibility too, to look after our energy, to look after our own energy, to look after our energy field, and choose what we make space for or not, choose what's allowed in. Because somebody can do a really mean comment. I used to take it so personally in the past. Oh my God, Julie, I was thinking about it for days. Why have they said this? Just ruminating, overthinking it in my mind. And maybe they were just being silly, doing a mean comment. Maybe it didn't mean anything to them, but it used to affect me so much. And then after all this work, now I'm like, okay, that's what you think. That's fine. I just have a totally different reaction to it. But I think it's very much connected to the fact that I really protect my energy a lot, and I choose what gets my space and what doesn't. And I think we all have that power, all
So
of us.
you're selective, just like
Yeah.
when people are on, specific diets, you guard
Yeah.
your health. You say, I'm not going to have seed oil, or, this high fructose corn syrup gives me a headache. I'm going to stay away from these certain things. Like your energy, to me, your energy field's the same kind of thing. We just can't see it, but you can feel it if you ask. If you tune into it, you can say, yeah, that really have you ever said that zapped me? Or I'm just,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
took it
Yeah.
all
I know
out of
what you mean.
me, or
Yeah.
that breaks my heart. Like those kind of things, that's your energy field. Like, or when you get pulled over by the police, how you sink, like you're just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're going to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
reprimanded. Like that's your energy field, and your body is processing those things for you. But you're saying you do things to supplement and clear your energy so that even if you do feel like that threatened, or that survival, that kick in, your heart just gets tight and your blood pressure goes up and you sort of feel like fight or flight, but it's not something you're going to fight or flight. It's just like somebody being mindless, or I always say they're being unconscious. Like if they understood how they're coming across, they probably wouldn't choose to do that unless they're a mean person, and mean people just do mean things, and I'm not mean, so I
Yeah.
don't want to be in that field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So are there things you do daily, or say you, like you said before, you got triggered by something and you're like, I got to get rid of this. What do you do in the moment to say you're safe, that you're supplementing your energy field, or you're some people say they put a big bubble around themselves and it's reflective,
Yeah.
but sometimes it gets
Yeah.
in. So how do
Yeah.
you cleanse that,
I
detox
think,
it?
yeah, I think it's a few things. I think it's gradual, first of all. I now have generally gotten to a point where I really don't spend more than 5 minutes on something like that. Like, it just doesn't mean anything to me
I love
anymore.
that you didn't say ignore it. It didn't happen. You're
No, no, no,
acknowledging that
no,
it
no, no.
happened. Like
Yeah.
five
Yes, of
minutes is
course.
that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not like, no, it didn't happen. No, no, not at all. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that it took different things. So the first main work that needed to happen was for me to heal myself, because when I was the unhealed version of myself, I had no boundaries. So everything would leak in. Right? I
Yes.
had no boundaries, and I was like, I don't care what your energy is, high vibration, low vibration, you can say whatever you want. I'm here to take it. Right? That sort of like kind of like filtering everything through. And in order to stop doing that, I really had to look in the mirror and make friends with the demons inside, and understanding why I didn't have any boundaries, what was making me feel so insecure, where did it come from? Was it something from childhood? Was it something that, what is it that I don't accept about myself? I really had to face these things. And then once I faced these things about myself and I worked on them, I had so much more compassion for the outside world as well. So the
Mm-hmm.
anger went away. I had much more compassion for the outside world, but at the same time, I learned what power meant. I learned that I have personal power as a person, as an individual. I have personal power, and not having any boundaries or not working on myself, on facing my demons, meant that I was taking all of these power that I have as an individual and I was giving it to somebody else. I was giving my power to the person that was treating me badly. I was giving my power to the news,
Mm-hmm.
for the news to affect me so much. I was giving my power away to whoever caught me in traffic, like all these things. And it was constantly like going out of me. And I had so much of this personal power and not utilizing it. So understanding that, I almost felt like, not almost, like it really was a life-changing process to understand that we all have power, and a lot of us don't think that we do. a lot of us think very, very little of ourselves. We think that we have zero power. And I think that that's the first thing to come to terms with. It's like, no, you do have power. It's like, for whatever reason, whatever happened in your life right now, you are giving it out. So you need to do something about it. You need to face whatever it is that you need to face in order to bring it back to you. So it doesn't keep going out of yourself, right? And so when I understood that, I was like, okay, so in order for me to not give my power away, I have to start respecting myself. I have to start, I have to start respecting myself. I have to start keeping the promises that I make to myself. That's why I say it was very gradual, right? Because it took, like, the spiritual stuff came way after. First, it took all of that understanding and processing of everything that was inside and whatever I thought needed to be normal, like we said, quote unquote, normal in my life, but in fact, it wasn't. And so first I needed to all of that. And then I started understanding energy. Once I figured that out, and once I chose to keep my power for me, and, if a train was late, I wasn't going to give that power over me. I was like, okay, that's what the universe is presenting me with now. Okay, this is what I choose to do with it. I stopped being the victim and I stopped being led by the circumstances. And I decided, okay, this is what is happening. Okay, I still have the power to choose what to do with this. I might not be able to control everything. Of course not. But I have the power to choose what to do with it. Right. So that was a big shift. And then energetically, that allowed me to understand what a higher vibration and a lower vibration was. And I sort of started distinguishing, okay, this is how I feel when I interact with something that's a low vibration. And this is what I feel when I interact with a high vibration. It makes me feel loved. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like it's replenishing my energy rather than draining it. Right. So there was a big difference with that.
So that's how you figured out your relationship couldn't sustain you.
Yeah.
That's how you got the strength and the power to, you reclaimed your power to say, no more. This has been 20 years, 18 years of
15,
15 low vibration. This doesn't serve me.
Yeah, correct.
That's so cool.
But this is the thing. I couldn't have done that if I hadn't looked inside and created the space for me to understand that. Right?
And it came from you knowing yourself. Honoring self-care. It starts with us. And that's why it's so freaking scary, because to look at, to say to yourself, my big thing when I was working with a coach, I was like, I had to admit that I didn't feel worthy. And to say that out loud was like, oh my gosh, I think we spent 3 sessions for me to get there, to acknowledge to myself that I didn't feel worthy, that I had to prove my worth. Woo! And once you say that, you're like, okay, I'm free of that, because that's BS, right? Like, how is that even in my field? It doesn't make any sense, but it's there until you look at it. And I'm not saying it's for everybody. That was my big,
yeah, of course.
That was my big thing. But looking at yourself and being honest with yourself, that's tough as nails. Like, I think you can go through anything if you can be completely honest with yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Then I went, actually, talking about being honest with ourselves. Then I was still in the marriage at this point, but we went on a trip, over to the US, over to you guys, and spent a couple of weeks there. And I visited Monument Valley, and I had booked this sunrise tour with a Navajo guide, because that's Navajo land. Yeah. So I had booked this tour with a Navajo guide, and she took us to this beautiful place. Obviously there was nobody there because it wasn't open yet. So the park wasn't open yet. And it took us to, he took us to this, it's called John Ford Point. It's like a rock that goes, and you have the view of the valley in front of you. Yeah. I don't know if you've been to Monument Valley, but it's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible.
I need to go. That's on my list.
It's really incredible. And anyway, so I sat there it's 7 o'clock in the morning and my ex is over there taking pictures of me from a distance. And I thought, wait a minute, let me just take this in. Let me just sit here, take 2 minutes for myself. Let me just take this in, this land, these rocks, this silence, no people, no other tourists around. Let me just take it all in. And I did. And it came out of me. And I literally started bawling. I started crying like a baby. And I felt so small. I felt so, so small. I don't think I've ever felt so insignificant in my life as I felt in that moment. But it was like the most beautiful feeling. When I say insignificant, I mean like very tiny compared to nature.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, you're describing the
Yeah.
oneness,
Yes.
the universal law of
Yes.
oneness, that we're just this
Yes.
little part of this grand,
Yes.
big, we're important, but
Yes.
we're connected to everything, and
Yes.
we're just this little minuscule.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly that. So I felt so, so tiny. And I thought, wait a minute. I thought this cannot continue like this. I said, if this exists in the world, if this marvel exists in the world, I cannot lie to myself anymore. I cannot do that. If this is, because I was looking at the valley and to me, it looks like a miracle. Right? It was a miracle that I was there, and it was a miracle that this even existed. Like it's also spiritual land, so it's really charged with beautiful spiritual energy. And I thought, wait a minute, if this exists, then no, my life doesn't make any sense. I'm afraid my life doesn't make any sense. So I promised myself there. I made a promise to myself, and I said, I don't know how long it's going to take to get everything in place. But I said, from this moment on, I'm not going to lie to myself anymore. And then 6 months after that, I left the marriage. So it was a very, very, very important experience of coming face to face with the fact that my life is a lie, kind of thing. It's very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I
Yeah.
felt it. And I love that it was a Navajo woman
Yes.
guide, and
Yes.
she brought you to this big womb of an opening.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
big cavern is like symbolic of a
Yes.
womb. And you're like, it's
Yeah.
this emptiness of what you could be. Like, what could you
Yeah.
gestate? What could you create in your womb, in your being, that's so much more magnificent than,
Yeah.
and we're all this canvas of what we choose and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took all of that to understand to get to understand energy fields and and what to give access to. Nowadays, when I explain it to my clients, I always say, think about your energy field as if it was your diary, or your calendar, and you book appointments in, right? Who gets a space? It's your sacred space. It's the space of you. It's not even your work. It's you. It's the space of you. Who is allowed to touch you? Who is allowed to come into this very sacred space that it's you? And see, how many spaces have you got in this calendar of yours? Imagine it with all the color-coded things like you have on Google Cal, right? Imagine it with all the color-coded things. Who is allowed in? Who is allowed to take, and how much time and space are they allowed to take? Like, is that your partner? Is that friends? What does somebody cutting you in traffic get the same amount of space and time that your partner does? And how do you organize that? And I think that that's a big part of us taking back our power with regards to our energy field. It's up to us to choose how much time and space we give to the outside experiences that we have and people that we come across.
I like that. And I see it as like, you could spend a few days and just like keep a quick diary on your phone of how you felt and your energy, like check in with yourself and what you are spending your energy on. Is it
Yeah.
something that, and that was, to me, that was a big thing about knowing what I valued, like getting to know myself and what my core values were. And they could be like, well, I'm not going to waste my time on that. That's not part of my core value. That's not feeding my soul. Like you said, that part of your energy that your soul is your essence, that it transcends dimensions, lifetimes, and honoring your soul is, I think, the most beautiful thing we can do. And I wanted to touch base. We're getting like short on our time, but I
That's
think
okay.
it
Yeah.
feeds into like the, I wanted to touch base about the new earth. And I think the new earth is us honoring our individual lights and what our individual gifts are, and not being told by standards or expectations of what those gifts are, but just embodying those gifts and honoring everyone as they embody their gifts, or creating space, the freedom to live in your embodied gifts is I think
Yeah.
that would be a great step toward new earth and where we're headed. But what do you see the biggest obstacles of us, like they always say the 144,000, if we have 144,000 people on earth who are dedicated to new earth, ascending to the highest vibration we can express, and we're limited, we're in 3D, it's really dense here, but for 144,000 people to choose to live at the highest density or the highest expression in this density that they can, and choosing the
Mhm.
highest expression of love, what do you see as the biggest obstacle? And I think it's important to look at it. We don't want to live in it, but just to look at it. Don't let it affect your energy field because you say it, but just acknowledge and saying that's not part of what I'm
Mhm.
tuning into. What do you see for the new earth, the biggest obstacles?
I think the biggest obstacle is fear,
Fear.
unfortunately. Yeah, the biggest obstacle is fear. I really find that whatever fear it is, obviously, because different people have different fears. There's people who have fear of death. There's people who have fear of looking inside, or fear of losing somebody if they show themselves as their authentic self. So I think that's the main obstacle, because it's paralyzing for a lot of people. And when we're paralyzed by fear, unfortunately, unconsciously, obviously, act in a way that is not beneficial for us or for the rest of the world, because we act in a very defensive way. We want to protect ourselves by attacking others. That's what fear does,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're afraid of something, you feel like your protection is not solid boundaries, but you feel like your protection is attack. And it shows up for many people, as I said, in many different ways for different people. But I think it's fear. I think it's fear. If there's one thing that I would want everyone to know, in the hope that would help them overcome this fear, is the fact that, you're, despite everything that we are taught by society, by school, by parents, growing up, despite everything that we're taught, we really, 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 truly are infinite. We really, really are. We really, really are infinite. That we're just, God energy is us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not another person. It's not another entity. We're it all together and individually. That's what we are together. And I think that there's so much division that's created by fear, because of that, because people don't see it, because people see themselves as like tiny separate things, separate from the whole and separate from other people. But I think that, yes. So if I can say anything to you who are listening, do it afraid. Do it afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Do it afraid. Do it not ready. Do it messy. Do it messy. Do it not ready. But just, do it. Do it. It doesn't mean, there's a beautiful quote actually that inspired me a lot in the past as well, as Tony Robbins. And he says, I'm going to have to use a curse word because he's in the quote. I hope we're okay with that. But
Yes,
he says, courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It means that you're scared shitless, but you do it anyway.
mm-hmm.
So that's it. So that's it. Courage, 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 courage. It's the only way.
So beautiful. I love. I agree. I even wrote about in my book. Fear is the opposite of love. You can come back and
Yes.
love yourself and trust yourself. You can find the courage, because it's it's something that you thought of doing for a reason, right? Like if it's in your field, I know that's sort of quirky to say it's in your field, but if it's a thought, if it's something that you consider doing but you're scared, that's part of you. I mean, you wouldn't have thought of it if it wasn't part of something accessible. That fear is holding you back from your ultimate love, which is being your ultimate expression of yourself. I love the empowerment you provided and the, just the insight and your rich story. And I know that you've helped people talk to people on the other side. Like, that we're infinite, like you've experienced the infinite. So there's so much to your offerings. So I encourage anyone to reach out to you and explore what you're offering. And I'd love to put links to your content. I mean, I know we're going to hook up on YouTube, so I'll link your channel. So anyone looking, if you want to go on a deeper dive with Gloria, she's amazing. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Likewise, Julie. I really love your energy. You're just pure love radiating from the heart. You really are. You really are just pure love. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Life of love. Life of love. With Joy Wilson.